Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7. Now today, got the official Epic 7 World Championship qualifiers for you guys. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Korean matches. Now, I'm not going to be commentating over every single match individually. There's 8 matches of the Korean qualifiers, and the day afterwards we have another set of 8 matches, right? So to cover every single match individually, I think will be way too much for me at the moment. However, when the main matches come around, we're definitely going to be covering each one of those. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see some commentary and analysis on that. But what I've done today is went ahead and compiled my favorite clips, my favorite matches from this entire bracket, right, the Korean bracket here. And we're not going to be watching the entire best of 3 matches. We're going to be watching each individual highlight match that I think was very interesting or provided some really cool insight or text. So first of all, we have Retry Ever on the left side going up against E7WC on the right, and both players are very, very good. In this particular match here, this is the 3rd round of this match, so it's already 1-1. You see up at the top, both players have a win under their belt. So azallea gets snatched up as a first pick for Retry Ever, and it's met with an Arwell and a DJB on the right. DJB is actually a pretty decent option into azallea. The only thing to note is that in a previous match, Hand Guy was banned. So without Hand Guy here, DJB is a pretty good immunity option and a good cleanser that, if on Eternus or Soul Consultation, can actually cut after the azallea and ensure that you keep up the tempo of your team. But with DJB, it kind of requires you to play a little bit more aggressively. You can actually go for some stronger hitting units. Here we see E7WC actually go for Lionheart Sirmia, which is a bit more of a passive unit and not necessarily really great into Remnant Violet. Shu as well, a decent option in general for most Bruiser v Bruiser fights. However, into a Remnant Violet, it's a little questionable. The anti-crit can definitely help here. However, with azallea and Destina on the other side, Shu and Lionheart are both built relatively slow. They're under usually 190, 180 speed even. So we could kind of expect that this Destina could actually push up the Violet if you want to take the turn before the Shu and kind of snipe her down. I think that is definitely a possibility here. Now we see Crow getting picked up as well, and we're going to see one last, it has to be a DPS pick, right? A DPS pick that has to be really strong and can hold their own, especially against the Shu and the Lionheart. Alencia is actually a really nice option. Yes, Alencia does have an extra attack in her kit, and Lionheart can retaliate with an S3, but with the Vigor buff from azallea, Destina's heals, and Crow's defense buff and mitigation with Aureus, it's looking pretty safe here, right? So E7WC actually closes out their draft with a Karina pick, which actually makes it pretty obvious that they're banning the Alencia. They kind of have to. Alencia solo Shu and Karina pretty easily with her Mind's Eye buff giving her effectiveness, allowing her to easily defense break units like Lionheart and Karina as well. So Alencia is going to be the force ban here, and we see Retry Ever actually ban out the mitigation. Arwell is getting the axe here. And this is pretty significant because there's no more mitigation on the right side, whereas the left side, even though it's a Rylet solo DPS, even if you get lucky and hit Rylet, it might not actually guarantee a kill. Mostly because we're going to see a Vigor buff, a defense buff, and healing as support. So azallea is going to open up this match with the Vigor buff, applying the attack down to a couple of the units there. Going to be pushing back Shu, which I think was a really smart move, because the Shu is going to be the unit that really hinders this Rylet, right? Anti-crit really sucks for units that have really powerful one-shot nuke skills like Rylet here. DJB going to try to mitigate some of that pushback by pushing up the team after barrier inverting on the Crow and C. Lilius. That's going to deal quite a bit of damage to his Crow, but he kind of wants it. He wants to be low enough so that he can try to nuke something. Now, this is obviously not the time to nuke. He's only missing about 9k health here. So going for something like an S2 to get a defense buff up for the entire team is definitely going to be worth it, especially because C. Lilius right now is defense broken, and you really don't want the follow-up units to finish her off. Lionheart is going to be taking the next turn, going to try and chip away at the C. Lilius, but look at that. Less than 2,000 damage from the Lionheart here, so looking in pretty good shape. C. Lilius going to get pushed up because the Lionheart just took her turn. It's okay if C. Lilius does a dual attack here. It's going to push up the Lionheart, but it's fine. Rylet's going to be going right after though, and that's going to be really crucial because he is cutting the Shu. That C. Lilius pushback was huge. Right, Rylet gonna go into this Karina here. Actually pretty good for a dual attack. Way better than Destina or Crow getting brought along. But here comes Rylet's S3 going into the Shu, doing over 8,000 damage on the initial hit. This is definitely gonna kill here yet. Almost 28k damage. Absolutely insane on this Rylet here. This Rylet is definitely on some sort of like straight out damage build, because most lifesteal Rylets would not be able to hit that. Alright, so going into this here, Karina gets to take her turn. She does have the defense buff up, and she's just going to hold it. She's going to hold it to wait for C. Lilius to kind of cycle out of her defense buff, which is understandable. It's fine. Karina doesn't really have a real threat against her as of right now. Crow's a little too low, a little too high of HP to nuke, so it's a little too early. Right, but we're going to see this Lionheart Sirmia come in, and she's going to rip that S3. Let's see how hard this hits. It does not hit the Rylet, but everybody else taking so much damage. Rylet, though, look at that. With defense buffs and vigor buffs, plus the evasion, yeah, he's really not going to see any damage whatsoever. At this point here, Destina has two options. She could either heal up the team to full, and it's a little counterintuitive because, you know, you want Crown to be low on health, but looking at your opponent's side, it's a 4v3, so it's not a terrible option. It will keep the C. Lilius alive because, you know, the Retriver is probably seeing that Yim Siwang is trying to take out a C. Lilius as soon as possible. All the attacks are focused on her. She's really the only viable target to take down as of right now. Destina, little tanky. Crow, you don't want to put too much damage on him or he's going to revenge kill you. And this oh my god, this Rylet just one-shotting the DJB! Okay. The thing with the Rylet here is that it is not, I don't believe it's lifesteal, right? I think it might be, and this is just me hypothesizing, yeah, I think it might be like a destruction build. That would explain his explosive amounts of damage and why he's still able to maintain some semblance of bulk. So I think that could be the case. We'll see when Rylet takes another turn here. Crow actually going to go ahead and rip his horse. He's only about 9k HP down. It's not going to be able to kill, nowhere close, but takes out half of Lionheart Sirmia's health here. This is a little notable because if this Rylet can actually kill the Sirmia quickly, then they'll be in a really good position. But Crow horse there, and the C. Lilius had S2, so Lionheart wouldn't be able to get that extra proc, right, off of the dual attack. Rylet gonna go ahead and soul burn. That's huge because look, he's at 4 stacks of focus right now. With one more hit, he'll be able to kill this Lionheart, and he'll be able to hop right into this Karina. And look at that, it's just slicing through her like butter. And he is gonna be able to take her out. So there you guys have it, the first match here, Rylet solo. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, the second match over here, the names and stuff at the top are actually not correct. I believe they had a little issue with the display and stuff and getting the names to show correctly. But what we have here is C. Lilia's first pick on the right side, and on the left here, we have a Ocean Breeze Luluka and a Last Rider Crow. So Last Rider Crow is a pretty good damage mitigation unit, and Ocean Breeze Luluka pretty good into that Sea Lilius. And the reason why the opponent's not going for a hand guy with Ocean Breeze Luluka, which you typically do see together, is because he was banned, right, previously in the previous match. So you can see that on the bottom of your screen. So this Ocean Breeze Luluka going to go uncontested. We're going to see a Yolha get snatched up and an Apocalypse Ravi. Now, Apoc Ravi is pretty good into LRK, but she's not great into a bunch of debuffs, and Ocean Breeze Luluka actually packs quite a few debuffs that can be really difficult to play around. Now, Solitaria is also going to get picked up along with DDR. This is really smart because we have Yolha and a Ravi on the other side, and that makes it like, so injury is really, really effective, right? This DDR is definitely going to be one of the top priorities to ban coming up. Lionheart Sermia gonna get picked out. Pretty good. If you want to ban the DDR, it's pretty good into Solitaria because you can get your procs off of the extra attacks. However, it's still a little iffy because you can still get controlled pretty easily if that Solitaria laps you, right? If you get procced when you're, you know, at 0% combat readiness, there's no chance that you're gonna be taking a turn before you get debuffs stacked up on your defense buff stripped, so you're gonna be dealing almost no damage. Ed is going to be picked up as the last unit here, but the problem with Ed is he can actually get overwhelmed with debuffs against units like Solitaria and DDR, especially when they're combined together. Retry ever though, pulling... This looks like one of my drafts, I'll be honest with you. This Pirate Captain Flan getting picked out. Full control team, essentially, on the left side with LRK there to join the fray. Yimsi Wan looking like he's on the back end here, going very defensive, right? He's the one reacting to the opponent's pick. Retry Ever definitely setting the pace of this match. So even though Sea Lilius is the opener there, with Ocean Breeze Luluka on the other side, I mean, it's not really a huge threat. DDR, though, gonna get banned out, and Sea Lilius as well. It's pretty smart, because if Ocean Breeze Luluka was banned, then Sea Lilius would have had a pretty good opening, be able to control some of the, lock down some of the control units on the other side, at least for a turn or two. Alright, but going into this here, Solitaria is going to be taking that first turn. She's actually really, really fast, ripping that S3. Let's see what she goes for here. Alright, going straight for the Apocalypse Ravi, which makes sense. You want to lock her down so that she can't just let rip a bunch of damage and injury down your LRK early on. Pirate Captain Flan going to be going for that Lionheart Sermia, stunning her so that she can't really do much in this upcoming first turn. So 2 units already locked down and unable to be used. Ocean Breeze Luluka just going to go for the S3, get that Ice Cream buff up and a nice little defense buff for everyone to kind of weather the storm here. LRK going to rip his S3, so there's no way that this Lionheart can cleanse herself, because there's no chance of a dual attack or extra attack coming out here until after she takes her turn. Ed gets to go, and he is going to go for the Pirate Captain Flan, gets rid of that Ice Cream buff for free, essentially. Didn't really do any damage there. And then Yolha too, just chipping away at those buffs on the opponent. They don't want to hit LRK, they don't want to give him cooldown reductions. The longer LRK has to wait for his extra hits, the better, right? The extra S3s. Here we go. Solitaria also, again, really good into this Apocalypse Ravi, because the fact that you can get rid of her Fighting Spirit really quickly. You can already see her bar is basically completely drained, and she has, like, no way of coming back from this. After this next turn, she's just going to be controlled and just going to be a sitting duck. There's no cleansers on Hatsune Miku's side, on the right side. If I said if I said the other names earlier, I apologize, because I'm looking at display at the top. So Hatsune Miku's on the right side, Ui Gang is on the left side here. And we see the Pirate Captain Flan again just controlling that A Ravi. She hasn't seen a single turn. And you see that even though Ed had countered the Solitaria's hit and, you know, have that extra attack, LRK's barrier is really, really effective. And Ed really has a hard time going through it. Now, you might notice that this is an injury Ed. That Pirate Captain Flan has a bunch of injury on her. And injury Ed could actually be decent here. He actually does have the potential to solo this match because of his interactions with Solitaria Pirate Captain Flan, and because of his injury that actually makes it difficult for LRK to ramp up significant damage in later turns. But look at this, that A Ravi is just not seeing the light of day, just completely stunned, can't get pushed up because no combat readiness from her lack of fighting spirit. And this LRK and this Luluka, they're just going to be lapping and taking turns with that speed buff. Luluka pushing up the team with that S1. And Lionheart, look at that. She's silenced, right? She has enough for an S3, but she's silenced. It's huge. These debuffs are extremely crippling. Now, Yolha is silenced. However, she can actually cleanse herself once she gets low enough. And we might see that happen if LRK gets another S3. Ed is going to rip his S3 into the LRK. Look at that injury damage starting to stack up and get a little bit more significant. If A Ravi was here to help out with that injury damage, it would completely turn the tide of the battle, but she has not seen a single turn and she has absolutely zero fighting spirit. Solitaria going to go ahead and S3 once more. I'm going to go into the Yolha this time around, make sure that she is stunned. Pirate Captain Flan gets to take another turn here, and she should probably just lock down the Lionheart Sirmia, but opting to go for that Apocalypse Ravi. Again, she's not done anything this entire match. LRK gonna go ahead and soul burn his S3. He has enough health that he should be able to survive. Look at that incoming damage. Ooh, Yolha surviving though on a sliver of health. And we see this Lionheart Sirmia also really, really low. Luluka gonna put up the ice cream buff. We're gonna see the extra hits come in here. If she hits Ed, it's gonna be no big deal. Right, because the team is so healthy, and the ice cream buff, look at that, just procs and heals that LRK up for a significant chunk. We're going to see the Ed just keep trying to chip away at that Pirate Captain Flan, because again, he knows that without the Apocalypse Ravi taking a turn, there's no chance that he can really come back from this. Yolha goes down to the Solitaria. And look at this extra hit coming in, critting on that Lionheart Sirmia. Ed is going to be trying his best to hold his own, but oh, Lionheart Sirmia does go down. And yeah, it's going to be an Ed solo potential here. Pirate Captain Flan going to go for that S3. Going to try to plant a bomb and a burn onto Ed. So Ed cleanses the burn, and this is huge. Watch, because the Ed currently has a bomb on him. If he is hit, he will cleanse that bomb. However, if Pirate Captain Flan hits him, she will plant another bomb, meaning that she'll still be able to detonate and continuously put another debuff on him. So watch this. Pirate Captain Flan, as long as she doesn't get 15% in here, could win the game by going for this S1. He's going to soul burn for that extra turn. So look at this. He cleanses the first bomb, gets the second bomb planted onto him, right? Pirate Captain Flan will be taking another turn. He gets bombed right here, which means if Ed is hit, he will cleanse the stun, which means he can't cleanse the bomb that comes after and gets stunned again. Look at that. And now this Solitaria able to come in with a quick 1-2, and that is pretty much going to spell the end of Ed's run. Very clever play with that Pirate Captain Flan, going for that S3, also getting a little lucky there too, not getting 15% in. Alright, so jumping straight into the next match here, we have Retry Ever on the left going up against Crying Leader on the right side. The draft had already started here with Crying Leader picking up one round against Retry Ever. So we have Hand Guy getting first picked. He is actually pretty decent here. C. Lilius was banned from a previous match, or she was pre-banned. So Lua and C. Lilius were pre-banned, she was banned the previous match. And we have essentially the trio of evasion units getting banned out from Crying Leader there. LRK and Sharoon getting picked out into Hand Guy is actually really smart, but Ayola's really good into LR Crow, allowing you to get skill nullifiers for your team. She can turn cycle quite well, get that unbuffable, get the strips up on the opponent, and really tamper with LR Crow's effectiveness. No barriers, no immunity, no shenanigans, right? The next pick though is really weird. It's an A-Raz. Now A-Raz is a unit that I used to use very, very often. He has a lot of potential, and he can really protect that person in the back line quite effectively with that giant barrier of his. We're going to see a Spectre Tenebria and a Para get followed up. Para is pretty decent into Aola if you can get that Restrict and the Unbuffable on. I believe the Aola cleanses the Restrict and then you can have the Unbuffable stay, which means the opponent doesn't get skill null on their team. And Pero does have an escort buff too, so it can help as damage mitigation for everybody. Spectre Tenebria with Sharoon is a pretty good combo as well, but the Spectre is going to be staring down a Bellion. Bellion's not great into LRK, but Bellion's still going to lock down those souls on the other side. Lethe going to get last picked along with a Zeo on Retry Ever's side, and we're going to see the Lethe get banned out, and Bellion saying goodbye as well. I think if there was an injury Bellion, she probably could have had the potential to solo the LRK and the Spectre Tenebria. The injury, of course, helping against that LRK, especially if there's an unbuffable from Aeola, allowing the LRK to essentially have no barriers, no form of protection against injury. Zeo, though, is pretty much going to be the solo DPS here, and it's a very questionable situation to be in, especially because you're facing down Spectre Tenebria and LRK, both with very high potential burst damage, especially if there's a book on the other side, and we see that there is. Anyway, Zeo takes the first turn here. He's actually pretty bulky, rocking about almost 12k health, 11.5k health right here. Could go for the S3, and S3 deals a lot of damage, right? Taking the Para essentially down to half her health, pushing her back so she can't interrupt this Aeola's first turn. She is on Spirit's Breath, so she is going to be turn cycling quite well. Everybody on the other side is silenced. Sharoon did not get the unbuffable, but everyone else did. And now this hand guy has a couple options here. He could actually go for an S3, put up the immunity buff, which is very key, so that the Zeo can't get stunned by the Spectre. There's no reason for him to really S1. He could have S1 to push up the Araz, and Araz could have dual attacked to also give the immunity to the Zeo. But we see here, he's not even going to wait for extra souls. He's just going to go for the S2. Araz is going to bring that Zeo in and almost take out this Para. She's literally on like 127 health there. This Spectre, though, looking pretty tanky. Almost 13k health. Probably was 13k health before Frenzy kicked in at the beginning of the match. And we're going to start to see her chip away at the opponent. I think he's soul-burned there, and now he's going to go for the S3 into the Aeola. They're going to try and take out the Aeola as soon as possible. She is such an annoying unit. But with ML Cowrick here, he has an S2, and he can put up a nice chunky barrier on this Aeola here. Oh my god. He's an unethical unit in and of himself. Look at that, 4,000 damage right there. About the same as an attack buff Zeo on his first hit. ML Cowrick does pack quite a punch because he's also HP scaling. Aeola gonna go ahead and Soulburn, just push back and silence the Sharoon so that none of these buffs on his team can be stripped away. LRK can't really S3 either because it's not gonna deal enough damage to warrant it, and if he doesn't kill the Aeola with it, which I don't think he can, then there's a skill null that's gonna come up on the other side. So he really needs to use the Spectre Tenebria to take out this Aeola before LRK even has a chance to do anything. Luckily, this Sharoon is on Celestine, so she is healing up even though she is silenced with that S1. And she's healing a pretty considerable amount too. Spectre Tenebria now gets to go. She has an attack buff from the Sharoon. She's chipping away at the Aeola, but look at how tanky she is. She is just not budging. With that defense buff on her right now, it's pretty significant. Zeo gonna go in on the Sharoon. That's a lot of damage coming in, and oh my god, down she goes. So Zeo is soloing this entire team, and the thing is, he is on Etika Scepter, which means, look at that, Etika Scepter proccing here, he can go for another S3, and Zeo's S3 does a ton of damage because it scales with how much HP that the opponent already has, right? So look at that, 10k damage onto LRK, he's silenced as well, getting pushed back, because DPS Zeos don't need too many stats. You can also still put some into effectiveness, making him just a one-man army right here. Don't mess with the Emperor, I guess. Spectre Tenebria finally able to take out this Aeola, but look at how much damage she's already done. The Scrying Leader's entire team was just focusing down this Aeola, and it's only now that he's able to take him out after Zeo had cleaned up half the team. So retry ever with a solo Zeo winning that match. Alright, moving on to the next one here. we got a pretty interesting set of bans. So Lua and Sea Lilius, Lua's pretty much been banned this entire tournament here, and we got Aeola banned on the other side, right? These are very oppressive units in and of themselves with super strong debuffs. Ed is also banned from the previous round, and so was Zio. So we have Xiaoye on the right side, and Sasamite on the left. And we're going to see they're going to go ahead and first pick that Light Aiden. So that's going to get met with an ROL and a Maid Chloe. Very, very interesting here. Maid Chloe is actually really good for giving the whole team effect resistance. If you have Shimadra's staff and her passive stacked together, that's a free 40% effect resistance for your teammates, and it can help significantly for your units who are, you know, sitting around like 100 resist, allowing them to reach another new threshold, around 150 resist, to help resist against things like Arwell or Alencias and stuff, who give themselves effectiveness buffs, right? So it can help out quite a bit. And so it's a little bit of an early pick for this maid. She can actually get punished. We're going to see Sasamite is hovering over this Lethe, and Lethe could actually do quite a number on Xiaoye's team because she inflicts extinction, which means maid can't revive. Shuna getting picked out, very, very nice. She's a really strong unit that has pretty good debuffs too. She can actually potentially strip the revive and attack buff that maid puts on the team, and she's actually good against stealth and evasion units as well, so picking her earlier on actually prevents your opponent from really going for those units comfortably. We see Xiaoye doesn't care though. Spectre Tenebria getting picked up, and Karina as well. Shuna's pretty good into stealth and evasion units because she can just put them to sleep, and she can strip stealth on units that have things like Guiding Light. Now, against Spectre Tenebria, obviously you can't break her out of stealth, but you can still put her to sleep with an attack down, and it's really, really effective in mitigating a ton of damage. We see Pirate Captain Flan getting hovered over. Not a horrible option to that team, because Maid Chloe can only cleanse on her S3 and has a relatively long cooldown. Now, even though Maid is, raising the effect res of the units on her side, Pirate Captain Flan can really easily be built with 200 or more effectiveness, and that essentially bypasses up to, 200 effect resist stat lines on the other side, and I highly doubt this Arwal, Karina, or Spectre can reach 200 effect resistance. The Maid might be able to, but even then, effectiveness has a huge advantage over that. We see these Summertime Assyria coming out, actually. Another unit that can easily be built with 200, 250 effectiveness even, essentially nullifying the effect res on the other side, so Maid Chloe's entire niche. And we're going to see Zaha getting last picked by Xiaoye. So Zaha's going to get banned out. He's pretty decent into Aiden, can just one-shot her, and he can be built really, really fast. So Sasamite does not want to kind of risk that or test that out, but he's going to have his Pirate Captain Flan banned out in this case. So without the Pirate Captain Flan, Summertime Assyria can still proc with Lethe's S3, which is an AoE, and Lethe can soul burn it for free. In fact, Summertime Assyria can also soul burn for free. So let's go ahead and see how this plays out here. We got Lethe taking the first turn, pretty fast build, pretty tanky too, almost 30k health. We got 29.5k right there. She's gonna go for a soul burn S3, gonna proc that Assyria. There we go. Putting the bomb on the Spectre Tenebria actually pretty huge. The thing with Maid's Cleanse is that she can also only cleanse 2 debuffs with her S3, so if you overwhelm the Spectre Tenebria or any other unit for that matter with debuffs, you can very easily prevent this Maid from cleansing everything. So Shuna here can actually go for an S3 to try and sleep and attack down the Spectre, opting not to go for it though, going for an S1 to just chip away at this this Arwal on the other side. Summertime Assyria gonna go for the soul burn, gonna go for that strip onto the Arwal, which is actually pretty important because the escort buff mitigates so much damage. With Aiden following up after Summertime Assyria, getting rid of that escort buff means that you don't have to attack the Arwal herself. Oh my god, and look at that! Spectre Tenebria gets absolutely deleted with that Summertime Assyria bomb proc on her S3. We see Aiden taking the turn, so at this point he could actually go into Karina. to prevent Karina from getting a defense buff and doing some shenanigans here. She's going to go ahead and rip the S3 into the ROL. Okay, still dealing a significant chunk of damage, but now Karina gets that defense buff and a barrier. Mei Chloe helping to heal up the ROL for a bit, and now that all of Sasamite's units have taken a turn, the ball is in Xiaoya's court, so he's gonna go for an S3 onto the Mei Chloe, gonna go for a revive, cleansing everybody of their debuff, so Karina can now go in for an S3. Now, the important thing to note is Aiden's S3 was required there to help protect this Lethe. Lethe could probably solo this team as it stands right now. She has enough damage to kill the Karina on the next turn, and with Arwal so low, she could potentially kill her off too. Mei Chloe typically doesn't have a really large HP pool because people invest into her effect res, so Lethe at 30k health should be able to one-shot her without any mitigation from ROL. Spectre Tenebria, though, taking a turn, gonna go for a Soul Burn, has the attack buff, not gonna be able to kill this Aiden. She did evade, and it wasn't enough damage. There's no mitigation on the left side, but each unit right now is currently protected. Aiden's the only unit that Spectre could really go for. An S3 into her would be huge, though, especially if you can push some units back. So we're gonna see the hit actually lands on the Aiden, pushes back a ton of units. Shuna is the only one that didn't get pushed back there. And now she has a choice. She can go for the S3 to try to strip some buffs, or she could just opt to go for an S1. But the S3 is the best option here. Look at what happens. We can try to put that Spectre Tenebria to sleep, stripping the attack down. Everyone else has pretty high effect res, though. Unfortunately, going to be able to withstand Shuna's hit. But now what we have is Lethe setting up for a potential 1-2 combo on the next turn. Could try to finish off the Arwal really quickly, and then on the next turn after that, finish off the Karina once there's no more damage mitigation. So Lethe is huge right now, and right now all we need to do for Sasamite is for Shuna to cleanse the incoming stun that's going to come on the Lethe. And the turn cycling is looking to be perfect. Everyone on the other side is going to be going before. So Mei Chloe gets to go. She can actually go ahead and hit the Lethe, who is stunned, and it'll CR push the entire team. That's why she has really good synergy with units like ROL. And we're going to see Karina come in, trying to potentially defense break. Now, I think the best thing to do here is to get rid of the Caesarea. There we go. Getting her out of the way is just one less headache to deal with. Lethe will be able to get cleansed, though, with the Shuna here. That's why there's no point in defense breaking her. Shuna would have been able to cleanse regardless. So now Lethe gets to take the turn. She can go for the Arwal this time around. There's no reason to go for Karina here. You won't be able to kill through the escort buff. So Lethe going in for the nuke, still about 27k health. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 27k total health there. And being able to heal up as well. That's pretty good. Arwal taken out already. And now that is a disgusting dual attack. Look at that Spectre Tenebria there. If she didn't have that attack down, it would have been devastating. It still is, because look at that poison stack as well. And we got a Karina dual attack. That is disgusting, because right now Lethe has the potential to solo this team. She still has a chance. As it stands right now, because if he can kill this Karina, it can actually end up healing him for a decent chunk of health. Gonna go for the S3, gonna go ahead and penetrate all that defense, almost 18k damage onto that Karina, finishing her off. And now Lethe poised to kill off this Maid Chloe as well. Spectre Tenebria, no soul burns. Oh, look at this. Extra souls here. Being able to go, plant the extra omen onto that Maid Chloe. Gonna go for an S1. This should be able to finish off the Maid Chloe. And now the Spectre Tenebria will be left all alone. Lethe gonna be going for that extra hit here. It should be able to kill. There's no way this Maid can survive. And there you have it, almost 18k damage onto that Mei Chloe too. Lethe got 3 kills under her belt, and now all we need is for, oh my god, the Spectre hit so hard. All we need is for Shuna to land a sleep on the next turn. Shuna should be able to lap this Spectre though, because she's usually built with higher speed. Leafy's gonna take the turn, put another Omen here. Just need one more Omen, and this is it. All Shuna has to do is sleep the Spectre Tenebria with an S3. I mean, they got dual attack twice already, double 3%. So Sasamite gonna go ahead and rip that S3 here and hope for that sleep to land. And we see a 15% coming out. Spectre Tenebria just able to rip that S3 into that Leafy before she can take the turn. Look how close she was. Oh, that has got to be heartbreaking. Xiaoye just living by the skin of his teeth with a double lucky dual attack and a 15% on that sleep. You gotta feel for him, man. You gotta feel for that loss. That was pretty unlucky. Now, speaking of unlucky, we got unlucky FGO on the left side going up against Uigong on the right. And we're seeing the pre-bans come out here. This is the first round of their match. So Unlucky FGO gonna go for the LRK pick. And Uigong on the right side gonna think about how they want to react. Now, Unlucky FGO, if you take a look at some of his units that he constantly picks, Closer Charles is actually one of them. And I'm really excited to see if he's gonna be using that here today. So the Closer Charles telegraphs that he's going to be playing like an aggro or a cleave type of team. So Uigong should know this and is going to be tanking up really early. Blue Crow and Destina, very good picks into an aggressive team. Blue Crow especially going to be able to soak up that LRK's S3 damage and then S3 back and nuke somebody in return. Destina is a very good unit to stop momentum. Right, she, if the opponent rips all their skills out, Destina can just S3 revive everybody back as long as she isn't taken out herself. And with everybody else having taken that turn, they'll be at the end of the combat readiness meter, and Destina will revive the team back, and then everyone gets to take their turns. The issue here is Politis is picked up here, so if Destina tries to revive and everyone's on low health, Politis can actually just wipe everyone back out again. So that's not too great. Landy gonna get snatched up. Really interesting pick. It's a really early pick, but it's a very confident one from Unlucky FGO as well. You can kind of telegraph. It's kind of telegraphed that this Landy is gonna be faster, with a more aggressive build. Right, you can expect something 250, 260 speed Landy, packing quite a punch, and she's also good for CR pushing the team. So you can bring up your slower units and have them take turns afterwards. In response to that, though, we see a Bellion come out. Bellion is pretty good here. Now, LRK is on the other side. Yes, you're going to be resetting him. But with a revenge unit like Crow, it kind of mitigates the S3 spam from the LRK. And Bellion's also good at locking down the souls that's coming out from this Politis, who's probably holding Book. Millam's going to get picked up, too. Pretty good into Politis and into the Landy. We're gonna see how this plays out. Closer Charles Strazi got picked up super confidently, so Unlucky FGO just kind of leading his opponent along here. Para getting picked out as a last minute counter to the aggression from Unlucky FGO, and this Closer Charles, if this Para gets banned, is probably gonna be going first. I think Strazi is one of the units that must be banned here. Yeah, otherwise the crowd is gonna get absolutely nuked. Even if he bans the Closer Charles, Strazi might be on Benimaru's Tachi and just delete that crowd with a single S3. And the other units are going to have a difficult time getting through to him. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into the match here. Closer Charles going to be opening this up for his team. Now, Closer's S3 can't be countered, so there's no threat of retaliation coming out from this Bellion on the other side. Most Bellions are probably going to be on Elbrus, and if it's a Bellion to counter cleave or aggro, could be on counter set, otherwise usually on injury. Landy gonna go ahead and S3 push up the team. LRK with a speed buff, actually very notable because he actually scales off of his speed now too with his S3, dealing a ton of damage. Look, the crowd is almost gone. Millam's gonna counter, Bellion's gonna counter, but the LRK gives everyone a nice barrier. Politis gonna come in with her S3. She has a bit of bulk, but she should still pack quite a punch there. Look at that, Millam getting taken out, and Destina looking pretty low. This Closer Charles has an attack buff and his insight buff. He's gonna go for an attack onto Destina, finishing her off, and now we have the Bellion with the counter, but there's no way that she can solo this entire team, especially when she's only on a quarter of her health. So unlucky FGO cleaving there and finishing things off. So what a nice way to end off this video and puts a cap on the Korean qualifiers. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more highlight reels of the Epic 7 World Championships, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you enjoyed. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.